live streaming. So welcome to the call. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook or YouTube, or if you've just jumped on, or if you're watching the recording, thanks for getting on today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I'm here with Dr. Curt, and we are going to be talking about removing zombie cells from the body. I've got some slides. Do you want to say something first before I bring up the slides, Dr. Curt?
You bet. Well, Katie, thanks for putting this together. And every week for all those people that attend our meetings and our webinars, thanks for being here with us. It's great to find people that have, the like-mindedness that we do, that we want to not just live healthier, but we want to live as healthier for as long as we possibly can, because that's really what anti-aging is all about, isn't it, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's about quality of life.
Healthier longer.
Yeah, quality of life.
Well, Katie, when you said you were going to put together a presentation on senolytics, senescence, whatever, how you want to look at it, I was pretty excited about it because, I remember back, it was 4 years now, back in early 2019.
Yeah.
I was reading up on some things, and I saw the word senescence. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, when they were talking about anti-aging, because that's been a passion of mine for the last 2 decades. And so I started looking into it, and I started kind of going backwards in the research. And what I ended up finding was I found an article that said Mayo Clinic, right? Where you've heard of the great Mayo Clinic up here in the United States. Yeah, just next state over in Minnesota. I live in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And they were saying that they were going to be the premier anti-aging clinic in the world.
Wow.
That was back in 2019, and I thought, that's a pretty good statement for them to say that they were going to be the premier anti-aging clinic in the world. So I dug into it a little deeper, Katie, and I thought, okay, well, what are they doing? What do they have that they think that they can be the premier anti-aging clinic in the world? Mm-hmm. And so lo and behold, they were doing some research on anti-aging, and they were working with a chemo drug called dasatinib, and then they were working with a natural ingredient called glycertin. Right. Which you and I have talked a lot about when we talk about, viral infections and things like that. And anti-aging, glycertin always seems to pop up. And we'll talk about that tonight as one of these primary ingredients. But I thought, well, I don't want to do a chemo drug. That to me doesn't make much sense. How can you live longer by taking a chemotherapy? Yeah, and I thought, so that doesn't make any sense. So I started digging into it a little bit deeper, Katie, and I found that they based their dasatinib, the chemo drug, they based it on a natural ingredient that comes from all things. It comes from strawberries. It comes from persimmon. It's even in apples and things like that, but it's called ficitin. And you can imagine, when I tell people this, they say, oh, I love strawberries. That's the first response that I get from a lot of people. And I'm like, no. You can't eat enough strawberries. You can't eat enough persimmon, enough apples to actually make a difference. It's such a small amount that's in each fruit or whatever. It's really highly concentrated. But Katie, that's where Mayo Clinic got their original research, and they basically combined with the actions of ficitin, which is the same as dasatinib, and glycertin. And that's what they were basing their whole thing on, because they said they figured out the key to senescence. Right. And you and I'll talk a little bit about that. But so I started taking ficitin that year. That was in April, around my birthday in April 2019. I started taking ficitin, and I started taking high doses of glycertin. And they're both phytochemicals. They're plant-based. They're flavonoids, and I started taking these things, and Tom Senior and I were talking around August, so kind of fast forward a couple months, and we're talking, and he had just gotten back from the World Congress of Stem Cells. Remember, he was the keynote speaker there.
Yes, yes.
You
Fantastic.
remember that?
Yeah, fantastic.
And he said, Curt, he said, I figured it out. He said, I've got a formulation that I'm working on, and he said it's going to change the world. And I remember I said to him, I said, does it have ficitin in it?
He said,
And
yes.
dead silence. The phone was just dead silence. And
Right.
Tom Senior says to me, he said, how'd you know that? He said,
Yeah.
how'd you know that it had ficitin? And and I said, well, I said, I've been doing some reading. And I said to Tom, I said, you and I seem to read the same things. And I said, I said, it's considered to be the gold standard in the study of senolytics, in the study of senescence.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just kill these zombie cells, as they're being called. It actually removes them.
Yeah.
And I remember he and I was talking, and he said, well, I haven't released the formulation yet. Don't tell anybody.
Right.
He said, and I was sworn to secrecy, Katie, in August of 2019. And I was sworn to secrecy until February of 2020. So almost 6 months, Katie, until I came down to Australia. I couldn't talk about it because he said, I don't want any of this information to get out yet. He said, I want to wait till I get the formulation worked out. And he started out, with 10 ingredients, and then he had, 7, then he had 9, then he had 8, back and forth. And and I remember him sending me all this research, pages and pages. I've got files on my computer, Katie, that are so thick with the different things that he sent me. And you know what happened in February of 2020, right?
Yeah. The big pandemic started.
That's exactly it. So everything that Tom and I had been talking about, all the information that Tom was just so excited about talking about, him and Aubrey de Grey had been talking at this World Congress of Stem Cells. And I know you're a fan of Aubrey de Grey, one of the iconic figures in anti-aging.
Yeah.
And Aubrey de Grey had told Tom that, this is going to take decades to really figure out this whole thing about senescence, how to get rid of these senolytic cells. And Tom said he on the flight home, and for the next 2 weeks he hardly slept, and he just put 2 and 2 and 4 and 4 together, and all of a sudden he came up with this formulation. And for those of you who are on the call, you can tell I'm pretty excited about it. I love this product because the more I learn about the ingredients, the more I just want to take this product all the time. And since 2020, when we released the product, there's been other companies that have jumped on the market saying, us too, they jump in the Me Too, arena, and they say that they have a similar product. Well, I was just looking at one that they're making big claims and all these different things, and I went and looked at it, and the dosage that you get with what you're taking with that, in if you take our product, Katie, 6 doses of our product equals their month supply of their product.
Wow.
As far as ingredients go. So Katie, that's kind of that. But I'll let you talk a little bit about what is senescence. People are probably wondering, they've been hearing me say the word. I'll let you explain what it is.
Okay, great. Yeah, so just a quick disclaimer that any of the information we're sharing today is not designed to treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness. And if you are unwell, please do consult your healthcare provider. The statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. So before I just talk a little bit about senescence, ultimately senescence is about, aging, and there's many lifestyle factors that affect health and aging and the creation of senolytic cells. So just want to touch on some tips here, because I always like to bring, Dr. Curt, the lifestyle factors into it, because, you can't just pop a pill and fix everything. It's not going to work. You have to, use everything that at your disposal, and that includes these lifestyle changes. So, obviously stress, UV exposure, too much UV is bad. Exercise is important. Obviously, weight loss is a really big one. If you or weight maintenance, really having a healthy weight is important for healthy aging. Smoking, obviously, eating your fruit and vegetables. I'm doing this whole like little campaign of 2 fruit, 5 veg every day. I'm just getting warmed up with it. But basically, that is the recommended dietary guidelines in Australia for all Australians, to eat 2 pieces of fruit, 5 servings of vegetables. A serving is 75 grams, about a palmful. So that is really important, particularly if you want to slow the effects of aging and have a good, healthy digestive tract. If you're just not eating enough fiber and you're not getting enough vegetables, one of the first things you're going to start getting things like diverticulitis, very common as people age, constipation, hemorrhoids, all sorts of bowel issues start happening when you're not getting that good amount of fiber going through. So really important. The best way to get it is through your fruit and vegetables.
I'm going to throw something in here that some of the more recent studies that have been coming out in the last year or so really talk about senescence of the immune system, because it's the immune system that takes out these zombie cells and removes them from your body and gets rid of them. So when you mention the gut, when you mention fiber, when you mention probiotics, when you mention diet and omega-3s and getting rid of the bad fats and things like that, really what you're talking about is improving the health of the gut, which that's where 70 to 80% of your immune system is. And you keep that immune system healthy, and you're going to find that you're not going to have as many senolytic cells.
Yeah, so really important. So they're the lifestyle things that you want to be doing in conjunction with looking at natural ingredients, which we're going to talk about today. And so, obviously Dr. Curt's already touched on the topic of cellular senescence. And it sort of came up with this, term zombie-like cell, because the cell is, no longer useful to the body. And in fact, once it becomes in this state, it starts emitting toxins, and it starts releasing, like having an inflammatory response in the body as well. So it affects the immune system, and it isn't able to destroy itself. So the immune system, when a cell wears out, should be able to remove the cell and clear it out. But what happens is you get a number of these cells that don't get cleared out by the immune system, and they hang around and they cause issues. And I'm going to show you some slides a little bit later on of pictures of what that actually looks like. So this is really important, because I think if you get a visual of what it looks like in the body, then it kind of helps you understand the topic a lot better, and you can understand why you wouldn't want these cells in your body. And I also find that obviously the older and sicker you are, the more of these cells you have. So this is just like a slide here, just showing that aging inhibits immune system apoptosis. How do you pronounce that, Curt?
Apoptosis.
Yeah, well, response, programmed cellular death, cellular suicide, allowing senescent stem cells to hang around and expose their toxicity to healthy cells longer. So you can see the senescent cell there. It's not looking.
You can imagine, Katie. Imagine that your cells, they got a programmed suicide time. Each cell's got its own lifespan, and it's supposed to at a certain time. When it reaches that Hayflick limit, it's supposed to go away. And what happens is because of these preservatives in our food and stress and toxins and things that you were talking about earlier, it causes that cell so it sticks around. It doesn't go away like it's supposed to, and it doesn't want to just be there by itself. It wants to be the life of the party. And so what it does, it starts creating a bad party, and it starts inviting all the other cells to join in on the fun. And what ends up happening is then all these other healthy cells turn into zombie cells along with it. And all of a sudden you have a party gone wild inside your body.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't want that kind of party going wild inside your body. Yeah, I've got some pictures of that, so we'll see that in a minute. But it starts in your 20s, as you start to age. And so the older you are, the faster it happens. And it starts to accumulate, and these senescent cells contribute to all sorts of problems in your body. They're going to be contributing to like Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancer, osteoporosis, cardiovascular issues, osteoporosis. I mean, the list goes on and on, metabolic dysfunction, etc.
Even gray hair is because of senescence.
Really? Wow. Okay. So yeah, so if you're listening to this information and you want to slow your gray hair, then, addressing senescent cells would be a really good idea. So when you hit the age of 60, there's an exponential increase. So if you're listening to this call and you're 60 or older, it starts to accelerate at that age, according to one study that I referenced yesterday. Now, Dr. Kurt's talked about how you get rid of them, and we're going to go through some of the ingredients that are really effective to remove these senescent cells. So you want to target them with senolytic compounds. So these can be found as ingredients. I just get you to mute yourself if you just come on the call there. If you could just hit the mute button, that'd be great. So we're going to just go through those. But before we do, this is one slide that really demonstrates senescent cells. So this was, obviously this is not humans. We've got some poor rats here. But, in aging, the body experiences a phenomenon called senescence, a process where healthy cells are damaged and lose their ability to divide. Over time, these harm cells build up in the body and release hormones that cause inflammation. And as people age, these cells accumulate and contribute to aging as well as many diseases. So we've discussed that. So you can see here on the left, the slide on the left, the blue areas, and I'll just mute somebody out here. Just excuse me for a second. Yeah. Okay, so the slide on the left with the mouse, I think it's a mouse or a rat, and I'm pretty sure, actually, sorry, it might be a mouse. So as that's a young mouse on the left, there's hardly any senescent cells. There's no blue dots anywhere on it. And then you can see as it's getting older, it's got some blue dots around the tail, the midsection, up around the head there. And then as it continues to age, the senescent cells are spreading its whole tail. It's got it going on at the front, the front legs, some hind legs. It's continuing to accelerate. And then closer to death, basically the whole body has got all these senescent cells going on. And then what's interesting on the slide on the right is that you've got the mouse there exposed to just general ambient air. So, we know the air that we're breathing has toxins in it. And depending where you live depends on the quality of your air. Obviously, if you're out further, the air quality will be much nicer. If you're closer to the city, you're going to have more pollution. And we're breathing in all sorts of toxins every day. I've got like 4 air filters running in my house, Curt. So I like clean air. But anyway, so this mouse on the left has been breathing just standard ambient air, so just normal air. But then the mouse on the right, they exposed to cigarette smoke. And you can see how much damage the smoke has been done to the body in terms of creating all these senescent cells from the exposure to smoke. So it accumulates as we age, but it also accumulates from our lifestyle factors. And that's why when we discussed at the start of this presentation, we want to look at these lifestyle factors because they are also contributing to the accumulation of these senescent cells. So they found that lifespan increases in senolytic treated mice. So two mice of the same age, the normal age mouse, it has hair loss, its spine is bent, Curt, and it's got cataracts. And then the mouse that was treated with the senolytic agent, same age, but look at it, nice spine, coat's looking fabulous. Yeah. So internal measures.
I treat my mice with senolytics every day. I put a little on the floor. No.
Internal measures show improved organ function in senolytic treated group. So median lifespans increase between 24 to 27%. Oh my God, that is just huge. This finding may, and so we're talking about animal studies here, so we can't make claims, but may indicate that humans scheduled to die at 80 may actually be able to live to 100 in relatively good age using this one intervention. There's a PubMed study reference at the bottom, and the link there where this information came from. So that's mind-blowing. And so just to
one other thing I'm just going to add, because I didn't see it in your slides, when they studied some of these jellyfish, they studied some of these other like these creatures. I'm not going to say mammals because they're not all mammals, but the ones that never seem to age, they might have a short lifespan, but when they looked at their cells from the day they were born to the day they died, they found that the cell was exactly the same as far as function goes. And they found that what happened is that the body, the
Boring.
metabolism of
Yes.
those creatures was able to remove the senescent cells all the time. It was a constant removal of those senescent cells from day one till the end of time. They removed the senescent cells, so they never had any senescence.
So based on that theory, if you hypothesize, if you became effective at removing your senescent cells from your body all the time, then it would make sense that you would be extending not only your lifespan, but your overall health would improve significantly.
Exactly.
Based on that theory. And you can see, the cells before and after, before senescent cells, before and then after clearance of senescent cells, the two pictures at the bottom, and just improves physical function and lifespan of old age. So, just fascinating information. So senolytic ingredients, to recap, encourages selective apoptosis to clean out zombie senescent stem cells, supports the immune system in clearing out senescent cell toxicity, and helps in creating an environment for the production of new stem cells, which is really important. So we want to talk on some of the ingredients. We won't go through all of them, but as Curt's mentioned, the product Stemelytic that Sizzle make has 8 ingredients that support rejuvenation of senescent stem cells, and it helped to induce or support the body to induce apoptosis of those cells that have gone too far. So this obviously will help to create a healthy environment. So we've got quercetin. So you started talking about this compound. Do you want to just recap on that again?
You bet. Well, Katie, it's interesting when you look at quercetin, like you said, it promotes apoptosis of the senescent cell. And what is apoptosis? For those of you that are listening, you're saying, what the heck is apoptosis? It's when the cell literally explodes upon itself. It's programmed to die, and that's what quercetin does. It says, hey, listen to your built-in program and get out of here. And then quercetin, it's considered to be, like I said, it's considered to be the gold standard. It's the #1 senolytic compound. And what quercetin does is it just basically stops the beating heart of the senescent cell, and it stops it from living, and it actually helps to remove it. And so those two are considered the top 2 senescent ingredients known right now as far as natural ingredients.
Yeah, and so quercetin is a natural component and compound, and it's, as you said, it comes from strawberries, but it's also found in the smoke tree, extracted from there, as well as strawberries, which you've talked about, and apples.
And persimmon, yeah, fruits.
Yep.
Lots of different fruits have them. Onions.
Yeah.
So and then sclereol is an interesting one too. And sclereolic acid. I remember when Tom was telling me that he was putting that in this product, because of course when I told him what I was taking, way back in August of 2019, he said, "Oh no, Curt, you're not taking enough," and so he had me triple what I was taking.
Wow.
And then we started talking about this sclereolic acid, or sclereol as he has there, and it's a highly regulated natural compound, because it's got some properties that I'm not going to make any claim, but I'm going to say it's got some really amazing properties on certain types of stage 4 situations. I won't mention what word that is, but sclereol, and I know you and I talked about it, Katie, in the past, but yeah. And it so it really helps getting rid of those senescent cells. And and if you think about it, DNA damage causes mutations causes senescent cells. But what health condition do we associate with DNA damage? I'll just leave that as an open question. We won't answer that. You figure out what health condition we're talking about. It's a stage 4 situation. And so if you can shorten the life of a senescent cell, like these 3 things will do. Holy cow.
Yeah, so that is some good information there. Yeah, and you just talked about this ingredient before. It is found in sage, the herb. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and this was some information, the resources there at the bottom, and it's used, widely used in the medical field. So we won't cover too much more on that. Okay, so the pronunciation of this one, pignon is a flavor.
Apigenin.
Yeah, go on, say it again.
Apigenin.
Yeah, specifically as used to support apoptosis, and they found that it has, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory benefits, neuroprotective, cognition enhancing substance. May be interesting in the potential for Alzheimer's. That's a PubMed reference. Again, not making any claims. They're just hypothesizing there about all the potential it might have. You can check that study out as well there. We've got curcumin. That's a big one. That's pretty popular. Do you want to say something about that?
You bet. Well, curcumin is actually, it comes from turmeric, right? And turmeric, we use that all the time as an herb, but and it's got natural anti-inflammatory. I think you and I were talking about it quite a bit the other couple of weeks ago when we were talking about brain health, because it helps get rid of all that inflammation. And inflammation is one of the triggers, like you had written before on one of your previous slides. Inflammation is one of the triggers that causes cells to go into senescence, because it damages the cells. So anything you can do to get rid of that inflammation is really going to help out.
Yeah, fantastic. And then the last one we'll mention here is the N-acetylcysteine. Is that how you pronounce it?
N-acetylcysteine, you bet.
Yeah, so supports the production of glutathione and plays an important role in the body's detoxification process as regenerative antioxidant that can bolster the immune system. So I'm just going to click on this little, let's see, hopefully you can still see. This is a Healthline article. They've got some good information on here if you want to check out ingredients and stuff. I'm just going to scroll to the top. This has been a medically reviewed article. It just goes on to talk about all the benefits. So it's shortened version is just NAC. So essential for making antioxidant glutathione, and helps with detoxification for the kidneys and liver. May improve mental health conditions. So this is all from an article on Healthline. Helps relieve symptoms of respiratory conditions. Boost brain health by regulating glutamate and replenishing glutathione. That's a big one, because that really controls people's mood as well too, right, Curt?
You bet it does. And glutamate is so important for the gut again.
Yep, and for people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and stuff like that. So that
right, where's the N-acetylcysteine? Where we've been hearing about it most recently in the last year?
Yeah, what can we say?
Well, I mean, we won't mention what thing, but it's so important with detoxifying some of these ingredients that are found in the jibber jabber thing.
Yeah. Yep, the jibber jabber. Yeah, so that is an important ingredient. So, I mean, we've got a lot of great ingredients there, and we're just coming up to the half hour. As you said, you went out at the start of this, and let's just recap this. You went out at the start before this product was available, and you went and bought the ingredients individually. And I bet you that ends up costing quite a bit, as opposed to
it cost me when compared to what I'm paying now for the Stemolytic product. And I take the product I actually take it about every day. I really don't miss a day.
Really?
And my reason for it is, because here's how Stemolytics works, right? You kill these zombie cells, and then you take a day off and you let your immune system get rid of them. That's how you want to start taking this product every other day. A day on to kill them, a day off to get it out of your body, right? You don't want them to accumulate. If you wait any longer than that, what ends up happening is then those senescent cells start to accumulate it again. And I know, some companies trying to make it so that their product is more affordable. they've even gone so far as to say, oh, just take it once a month.
Right.
Just take our product once a month, they say. And the problem with that is now you got 30 days for that to build up, for those senescent cells to build up. And if you listen to what Katie was just saying, you don't want the accumulation of the senescent cells, because they start a party gone wild in your body. And now you got to get rid of the party before you can even start clearing it out. So after I did this product for 2 years, Katie, every other day, I was talking to Tom Jr. This was after Tom and Senior had passed. And I was talking to Tom Jr. and I think you were in the conversation. I said, what happens if I take it every day? He said, well, as long as I've been on it, like I have been every other day. So now I haven't had that accumulation of those senescent cells. I'm just clearing and killing at the same time. I'm clearing it out, killing them at the same time. Just boom, 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 every single day. And so that's what I do. I just do it every day now, Katie.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. Yeah, it's just such a great product to be adding to your health regime. It's quite affordable. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there. We're just on the half hour. Appreciate you getting on the call today. And if you are interested, get back to the person who's sharing this information with you. And if you haven't already tried the product, give it a go. Have a look at the information on it. And it's it's a great product. I won't be without that one. That one with the age pill. Of course, I love the TSX. I could go on. I love so many of them. I've got a whole cupboard full. But they're some of my favorites for sure.
You bet, Katie. Well, thanks for putting all the slides together and every week doing the background to make sure that everything is good. And folks, if you're, like Katie said, if you're listening to this in a recording, get back to the person that brought you here, and let's figure out how to keep people healthy and living a long, healthy life.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great weekend.